A really great call on James O'Brien last week from Paul, who voted Brexit. Why is it that all, or not all, but a lot of Brexit voters also like Trump? And they still have this approach of something, somewhere from this will materialise and we'll just wait and see, and we won't listen to any of the facts because we believe, and if you believe, then it's going to materialise. And here we are, 9 years after Brexit happened, almost, and we're still believing and still waiting for some Brexit bonanza, some upshot of Brexit, which now they're claiming that the tariffs that have been slapped on us are a Brexit advantage because we've only got 10% tariffs and the EU have got 20%. Of course, they can't work out that the reason we've got lower tariffs is because we don't actually export much to the United States. Most of it is cars and steel, and they are subject to 25% tariffs. So it's all pretty ludicrous, really, but really interesting in that once this call broke down into talking about Brexit, this caller again couldn't specify which laws he didn't like or what he didn't like about being in the European Union, and even to this day he's incapable of actually working out that he's been conned. It is definitely very similar to people that have been hypnotised.
What would you like to say?
No, just there's the emotion around this and name calling and Trump's this, Trump's that, Trump's the other. I don't know why everybody's so surprised. When he was going for election, he said he was going to do this. Everybody knew he was going to do it.
Everybody kept telling us to ignore what he said and concentrate on what he did. You remember?
I do, but again, we've got short memories. When he was, in his first term, he said he would do a number of things, and he did.
Well, he did. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He said the stock market would go up and he'd make everyone richer. You now have the Swiss investment bank UBS, widely regarded as a leader in this field, predicting an inevitable recession with growth, GDP.
We'll see. We'll see in time, but, this happened 2 days ago. My point's very simple. He said he was going to do this. He's done it. The emotion and the response is quite ridiculous, I think, in terms of, he will want deals. He wants to make a deal with people. This is his way of doing it. No, you don't need to like it. None of us need to like it. But name calling and saying he's this, that, and the other, I just don't think it takes anybody anywhere.
You've been a bit woke, Paul. A little bit of name calling, a little bit of mischief, a little bit of fun. It keeps us all honest.
I'm the least woke.
Keeps the conversation fresh.
Least woke bloke in the world.
Yeah, I thought you might be.
In the world.
So, what should Starmer do in this context then?
Well, I think the first thing is, it's 10%. I think that was probably better than the UK thought it was going to be. I think...
no, it's exactly the same as every other country in the same situation as ours.
Yeah, except Europe.
No, they're not in the same situation as us. They have a different trade balance, a different balance of trade. So any country with a comparable balance of trade to us gets the 10%. There's no special treatment there whatsoever.
Okay, so that's where we are. Trump is looking after America. It's his country. It's not our country.
You just said it's going to go into recession. Its own stock market. They've lost $2 trillion. How is that looking after America? No, I will, but you're going to have to address the question of how is a $2 trillion loss overnight looking after America?
Well, he's talking 1 day, 2 days. Let's see what it's like in 3 months. Who knows? I don't know, and nor do you. And nor does anybody else.
You just said he's looking after America, and I've just said he's just lost trillions of dollars. So in the context, so in the context of now, he's hitting America really, really hard. But at some unspecified point in the future, things might go really well. Did you vote for Brexit?
Pardon?
Did you vote for Brexit?
I did.
Yeah. And this was the same argument we heard then.
Well, no, but Starmer is the leader of Britain. Hang on, Starmer's the leader of Britain. Because we are on our own, he can decide what the government decides to do in response to these tariffs. Now, he can retaliate. That's up to him. He's our leader. Yeah, he needs to look after Britain. Yeah, that's his country. And the Swiss need to look after the Swiss, etc., etc. And it all goes around like that.
Yes.
Because that's what Trump's
doing. So what do you think looking after Britain would look like? And you can't keep saying that Trump is looking after America because he's just tanked trillions of dollars from the American economy. They've laid off car workers in America temporarily as a direct result of the impacts his tariffs will have upon their overseas operations. But you knew that.
Well, I know that, but I think, Rome isn't built in 2 days, and nor's the response. we're talking about 2 days.
But this is Brexit again.
Yeah, but you're talking 2 days.
But this is
okay?
I'm talking $2 trillion.
You know the markets probably better than I do.
When's the last time $2 trillion were lost overnight? US stocks plunged.
I have no idea.
But doesn't it matter, though, to your optimism, especially after your vote for Brexit went so badly? Doesn't this idea of sticking all your eggs in things are going to be great at some unspecified point in the future, haven't you kind of got bored of that yet?
I just think people are so surprised by something he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he's done it. Now, the response will be interesting. I think, he prides himself, if people want to call him a narcissist, he prides himself on being the art of the deal.
What he
wants to do is to negotiate.
Well, he didn't write that book.
Well, no, I know. You're right.
Do you know what happened the last time they brought in tariffs like this?
Oh, God, no. I haven't got a clue.
But doesn't it matter, Paul?
No, because I think that...
No, that's why I find conversations like this fascinating. You voted for Brexit. You're making all the same arguments about Brexit. Brexit was an undiluted catastrophe, but this one will go really well.
Well, I'm not sure it is a catastrophe, was it?
What's your favourite bit?
Pardon me?
What's your favourite bit?
My favourite bit is, well, you've probably got a point, actually. It's about controlling entry and exit from the country.
How's that worked out for you?
That's probably, you have a point.
Yeah, and we could, of course, have controlled it a lot more robustly before you voted for it. So the thing you voted for has been a catastrophe. The reason why you voted for it has got immeasurably worse, but you believed things would be brilliant at some unspecified point in the future, and here you are making exactly the same arguments about Donald Trump.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I think... No, hang on.
I have hung on.
It's about the people. It's about the people, who are leading, this country. Yeah, and it should be very easy for this country to control its borders. They don't, because the government before and this government are useless.
See, I have a theory that everybody who likes Trump and Brexit is obsessed with immigration. And here you are talking about $2 trillion losses that America has taken overnight, saying, hey, wait and see, it might all turn out to be brilliant. But what you really, really care about is immigration.
No, I don't. I think I care about it.
Why'd you bring it up then?
Well, you brought it up. I didn't.
No, I didn't. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit was. I asked what your favourite bit of Brexit was.
I gave you an example. You're right. Yeah, but no.
So, what is your actual favourite bit of all the things that have happened? Yeah, and Brexit has played out, which is why the parallel is so interesting. So, of all the things that have happened, what's your favourite bit?
Of Brexit?
Yeah.
I think just controlling your own laws.
Which ones do we control now that we didn't control before?
There's a lot now that we're not impacted by the EU that we were. I didn't like being dictated to by Brussels.
On what? On what?
Well, whatever the silly laws came out of them.
Go on, then, give me one. Give me one.
Oh, come on, there were loads.
I can't think of one, but you can, because you know that there are loads. Go on, give me one.
Don't be silly.
Give me one.
Out of Brussels, there were loads out of
Brussels. Give me one. Why is that funny? Lots. You voted for it. There are lots, and you can't name one.
Well, Brussels, we didn't have control of our own laws.
For example?
I can't think of an example.
Well, I'll wait.
Pardon me?
I'll wait.
You'll have a long way. I can't think of an example.
No, but you're bound to be able to, because there's loads. Paul just told me. So I'll wait.
You're very good, but no.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I just care about facts.
Anyway, we're not talking about Brexit.
No, I am. I'm waiting now.
You're waiting. The economy, let's wait and see.
No, tell me the thing that's gone really well. You said the law that you're pleased about.
My point is, let's wait and see. I think many countries...
I'm waiting to see what law you're going to tell me about.
Hang on. Well, we'll negotiate, and Starmer can negotiate for the Britain.
Don't change the subject.
Not for Europe.
Don't change the subject. Paul.
He can negotiate.
Paul, time for one of your wry chuckles, I think, Paul, isn't it now? Time for a wry chuckle? I'm still waiting for the law, of which there are loads.
Well, one of the great benefits is that now we're in this situation.
What about bendy bananas?
Now we're in this situation.
3-pin plugs?
Can negotiate for Britain.
Wrapping your fish and chips in newspaper. What's the law you're happiest that you don't have to obey anymore?
In this situation, one of the greatest benefits is that Starmer can
just say there aren't any, Paul, because everybody listening knows.
Well, this is a great one, isn't it?
Go on. What's your law?
Example.
What's the law?
Well, no, hang on.
No, I'm not. I've hung on for long enough. What's the law you no longer have to obey that justifies your Brexit vote in 2016?
Well, I'll turn it around so answer the question.
No, you can't. So you have to ask. No, you can't. Just answer the question.
Europe are not going to negotiate for us. We're going to negotiate for ourselves. That's the difference.
It's 10:45.
So, the Brexit advantage, according to Paul, is that we won't have Europeans negotiating for us. It'll be a good old British negotiator, and we'll be negotiating for ourselves. Which would be pretty much the same as Britain saying in 1939 that we wanted to fight World War II on our own with British people only. Absolutely ludicrous.
Can you confirm, just so we're absolutely clear here in the UK, the tariffs being imposed on the UK will be 10% on everything the UK sends to the US?
I'm not going to gainsay anything I've just heard on your programming, so it sounds correct to me. We have a special relationship, and we still have a special relationship.
Well, it's not that special, is it? If you've imposed 10% tariffs on everything.
What? Did I finish my sentences, or are you going to do the usual BBC thing?
Go right ahead.
So you're after Brexit, you've reaffirmed your independence, and I think that is being proven today by the special rate that has been afforded to the UK.
So we should be grateful here in the UK. Businesses here should be grateful.
Would you like to have the EU tariff level instead?
Well, some people here don't really understand why there's any 10% tariff at all, considering the trading relationship between the US and the UK is balanced.
It's not about balance. It's about what is being done to US goods coming into the UK, because President Trump believes in free trade, but he also believes in fair trade. And there's nothing to say that the current rate, the exempted rate, the special rate you have been afforded could not improve. It is the beginning. And I think I find it strange that you've been afforded such an exceptional status, and you're complaining? I'm not sure I understand that.
I don't speak on behalf of the whole UK, let alone for the UK government. Has President... Oh, sorry, just let me check then. So what does the UK need to offer the US in order to either bring that 10% down or eliminate it altogether?
It's not complicated. It's very, very simple. The goods of each trading partner should be handled and should be taxed, should be tariffed at commensurate rates. There should be parity. So if you don't discriminate against US goods, then the other partner, in this case the UK, will not have their products discriminated against. It's very, very simple. A kindergartner should be able to get that.
So we need to get rid of VAT on the US goods that we sell here?
There should not be any kind of pejorative handling, negative handling of US goods if they do not wish to be reflected in the way that UK goods are handled. It's like the most simple equation: do unto others as you would wish to have done unto yourself. I think I read that somewhere in a very important book.
Has President Trump just started a global trade war that will make everyone poorer?
This zero-sum game thing is really quite amusing. We want to have great trade relations with every country. But if you have punitive tariffs or tariff-like measures against our goods, you will pay a penalty. It's not about trade wars. It's about equitable relations for everyone's exports. I don't understand how this is difficult to understand. Is this complicated for you?
So a research centre at Yale, the Budget Lab, found that tariffs at 20% would cost, for example, US households up to $4,200 every year. Winner of the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences, Joseph Stiglitz, said virtually all economists think that the impact of the tariffs will be very bad for America and the world. They will almost surely be inflationary. Are they wrong?
Are these the same experts that told us masks would save you from COVID and it didn't come from a lab?
Okay, you don't like them. Let me give you some more then.
Again, you're doing it again. Stop, okay?
No, you don't like them.
You let me respond, or you don't invite me on your show. It's that simple. Can I respond?
Go ahead.
Is this the same Yale that was sued because it is racist, because it didn't allow Asians who had the highest scores possible to actually become students there? Are we talking about that Yale, perchance? I don't think I give a fig for the so-called experts at racist institutions like Yale.
Let me give you some other people then, you may want to disparage.
You're not going to convince me. You can quote whoever you wish, but 77 million Americans have spoken, and that's why the president has declared Liberation Day today.
Republican Congressman for Montana, Ryan Zinke, says 86% of Montana's imports come from Canada, and that innocents and families that are just trying to get by will get hurt because of these tariffs. Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina says anyone who says there may be a little bit of pain before we get things right needs to talk to my farmers who are one crop away from bankruptcy.
Look, none of these people believe, and I know Ryan's a friend of mine. He's a great patriot. He's a former SEAL.
He's not a fan of tariffs.
Oh my gosh, you're doing it again. It's the third time. I will curtail this interview if you interrupt me again. Are we clear?
Go right ahead.
Don't do it again. So this is a setting of the bar. It is the zero reset. This isn't a permanent state of affairs. This is a measure by which those who are using punitive tariffs against our goods are sent a shot across the bow economically and say, hey, stop it. Otherwise, your goods will be treated the same way. This isn't carved in stone. This isn't forever. This is the beginning of the realization for those who have practiced unfair trade relations to reset things. Ryan, I'm sorry, you're a friend of mine, but you're wrong, because this isn't a permanent measure, because we expect normal nations and wise governments to say, okay, we're not going to treat US goods in a punitive fashion, therefore we will have fair trade between our nations. And let's remind the world, my boss was president before for 4 years, and it saw an incredible growth in the US economy to the biggest economy the world had ever seen, with trading partners who actually enjoyed the benefits of that incredible economic growth.
Although, despite tariffs last time, manufacturing jobs as a percentage of total US employment was no higher when President Trump left office than when he took over in 2016.
Yeah, the growth of the economy, however, was absolutely astronomical and resulted in the largest economy the world had ever seen. And now that we've secured the border, and now that we're shipping illegals out of the country, it's going to mean jobs for Americans.
We'll see. Thank you very much, Sebastian Gorka.